Hey everyone, this is Timothy Gay back with another review, and today we're going to take a look at Jiraku from Tasty Minstrel Games. It's a new game that just came out at Gen Con. I was very excited to pick it up. It's a little tiny box. It's awesome. Great art. Basically, what it is trick taking meets area control on this board. There's 7 areas on the board that you're competing over throughout the game. 3 rounds to the game. So let's get right into it. So first things first, I'm going to set up for a 3-player game. And for setup, everyone gets one of these Daimo tokens in their color. And then they get all these little samurai cubes. One of them they place on the score track, which is right there. It's nice, handy. Easy way to keep score. So for the 3-player game, we're going to take these cards, which have the numbers of the spaces on them, and we're going to randomly deal out 1 to each player. So there's 4 there, 6, and a 2. So then you would take our Daimo figure for each one and put it on that corresponding space. You see the number at the top there's 4, and it also has the color matches it too. So yellow would go to 6, and red would go to 2. And so this is your starting areas where your Daimo is. Right now the Daimos each have 2 strength, and the little cubes have 1 strength. So we're all 2, 2, 2 out here. And then the person with the highest is going to lead first in the trick taking. So basically a round is a full hand in the trick-taking phase. But before we get into that, we do a recruit phase. So for the 3-player game, we deal 6 cards to each person. And the cards are in 3 suits. We've got yellow, and then it says a little name there just for people that are colorblind. That's a great touch. We got the blue suit, Yari. And then we also have gotta find one. I think I would have planned this. Red Katana. And so these are all in sets of 1 through 6 in each suit. And there's also what they call a ninja card, which looks like that. So 1 through 6 each color, 3 suits, and 1 ninja card for each suit. And we'll get into why that matters right now. So to start with, we do phase 1 is called the recruit phase. We've dealt out the cards, which would be 6 to each player in this 3-player game. We look at them, and we're going to take 2 of these cards and pass them to the left. And each person does that, so you get a little bit of choice on what you're giving away and what you're hoping to get in return. So you don't want to give away something that's going to help somebody on this board, especially if you're competing over a space. So there's some strategy in what you pass. You want to pass things maybe that aren't going to set up some badness for you, or if you just need to get rid of some cards that aren't going to help you either. Now's the time to do it. And it's only 2 cards, so it's not a huge, brain buster, but there is some some strategy decisions there. So each player now has back to 6 cards. They passed them, and then there's this fancy looking little card that kind of tells you things. Each player gets one of these, which is very, very helpful, and I wish every game could fit all the rules on one card. That'd be awesome. But we've done the recruit phase. Now we go to the skirmish phase. And all that is the trick-taking phase, basically. It's just a fancy name for that, but we're fighting. So each player is going to play 1 card, and we resolve it. Then we check to see who wins, and the winner will get bonuses from the card here. Kachidoki card. That's the benefit that goes to the winner of the trick. So you're winning tricks to get bonuses, and you're winning spaces to get bonuses, and we'll talk about how you win spaces. But there is benefits to winning, but there's also benefits to losing. Maybe you want to play a certain card at a certain time to help you on the board more than you do want to win the trick. So, somebody plays a card. Here's an example of one player's turn. So let's say yellow. Yellow's the lead here because he's the highest, so he does have the Kachidoki card to start the game. So he leads with a 5 blue. Now, this sets up the skirmish card resolution. We'll just look at reds here. He has a 5. There's a 5 on the board there. As an option, you can place 0 to 3 of the samurai tokens from your reserve to the area with the same number as the card. So, well, yellow could take 1, 2, or 3 cubes and just plop them right down in 5. Right now that would give him 3 strength in number 5. You could also instead say these were already on the board. This 5 would grant yellow 5 action points. So there's some action point allowance here that's going to be very fluid throughout the game depending on what card you play. So there's a handy chart here that says what you could do instead of placing those cubes. You choose to use your action points. Here's what you can do. You can do 3 different things. For 2 of those action points, you can move your Daimo token, which is the helmet thing, to an adjacent area. So I could just move this for 2, and I would have 3 left. So let's say I did that. Maybe I want to move one of my samurai tokens to an adjacent area. That costs 1 to just move them left, or we can go right. It has to be adjacent though. Or let's say we had our Daimo here, let's say red had some out there. For 1 action point each, I could remove these reds and return them back to him. So you're killing off their samurai for 1 action point each, and you're limited to whatever number you play. So if you played a 1 and you didn't want to place cubes in the space for 1, you wanted to use that action point, you can only do one of these 2 bottom things. So like I said, the suits run from 1 to 6. So you play a 6, you get to do a bunch of things, and then the lower numbers you get to do a lot less. So maybe you want to use the lower numbers to try to fill the board down here. So we do that until everybody has gone through. Each person gets to do that. So let's go ahead and just say green played a 2 because you have to match suit if you have it. So since they played blue, green says, okay, I got a blue, I have to play this. Red says, I don't have any blue, I'm gonna play this yellow 4. That would mean that yellow won the suit. They get the Kachidoki card, which has this chart on it, and it says the winner takes this card and becomes the next starting player. So if you win the trick, you're going to lead again in the next trick. And then you look at your spot where your Daimo is. Okay, that would be space 4. If you have the most strength in that spot, you're going to get the first place points, which is 3. If you have second place, you'll get 2. And third place will get 1. So, like I said before, maybe you don't want to win the trick because you're not winning the space where your Daimo is at that time. So, but luckily, yellow is. They're going to get the 3. And then green has 2 in there. So they would get 2 points. And these just go straight onto the victory track. They get those right away. So it's a bonus as you go. So that's one way to get points. Let's talk about other situations in the trick taking. So let's say these 2 stay the same. And then we have red said, I don't have any blue. And they play that. They play a 5. That's a tie. Doesn't matter if it's on suit or not. There's no trump here. So the last person that would play in a tie would take the suit. So in this case, red would actually win because they tied for highest. Another situation. Let's say Red later played, the other one stays the same. Let's say red plays a 6 here. They would win. They were the last one to play the highest. Highest number wins tricks in this game, regardless of suit. Now, if red had a blue, they would have to play that blue. So you can't just play off suit just because you want to win it. Now, the final example in the tricks is the ninja card. Remember I mentioned that? Let's say red played that 6, okay? Yellow decides to play a ninja. They don't have any red. And green decides to play that red because they had a red. So let's say this 6. This ninja will win if anyone else played a 6. So ninjas are the only way to beat 6s. Let's say red had played a 5. The ninja would lose because it's only 6s. Now the ninjas are cool because they have their own special power. It says right at the top there, you can place 0 to 3 samurai tokens from your reserve to any map area, and you can place them in different areas. So let's say yellow could do one here. They could go one here. So it's a really quick way to get around the board. Okay. So ninjas kind of, it's very thematic there. Ninjas dropping down from the ceiling and dropping cubes everywhere. Once everybody's played all of their cards, so we do 6 times with 3 players, then we go on to the prestige phase, which is scoring. And that's where these little charts on the areas come in. So this is age 1, which is right there. And it says first, second, and third. So first, second, and third place are going to score. Right now, yellow is the only one in there, so they would get 7 points, and they just add it right to the victory point track. But you notice that second age, our second deal of cards, you don't get anything for being in here, so it's only good in the first age. And as you move down the board, you'll notice number 6 is the most powerful to start, but as you go, Kyoto down here can really rack up some points. And Kyoto does not have a number. So the only way to get in there is to use your action points, move in there. So what you see a lot of times is people kind of moving across the board as the game goes on, and that adds a ton of conflict here in the middle of the board. People will be removing each other off it, trying to squeeze every type of point they can possibly get, before game end. And it's only 3 rounds, so it's a pretty quick game. So you need to plan ahead. Maybe you plan to score more points in age 2 and set up with age 1. Maybe you don't win as many points then, but you can really rake in some points here in age 3. Now, let's give some cases for some of this area control here. You would score left to right, right to left, starting with 6 on going down, and then just keep scoring everybody. So in this case, in age 1, we have a tie in this spot, okay, in number 4. We would skip the first one, and both green and yellow would get 3. Okay? And then if anybody else was in there, they would get 2, and then it kind of pushes people out, so no one gets that 5. You don't split it or anything like that. So, but if you look at the chart, they're pretty much half and going down. So if you had a 3-way tie, you'd score 2. And you do that for 3 ages. Go through, play the tricks, battle for areas. Whoever has the most points at the end wins. This is a really cool little trick-taking game. I haven't played anything like it, actually. The art's great. It's portable, which is huge. It's like $20. The cards are nice component quality. Cubes are cool. The colors are easy to distinguish. If you did have colorblind issues, you could probably mark the cubes in a way. Kind of wish they did do something for that, because I do have brothers of mine that, they run into issues with color blindness. And some games we just can't play, which is unfortunate because there's some good ones. But they did do a little bit for that, and I don't want to harp too much on that. There are ways you can fix it yourself, Sharpie a little bit. They're just cubes. It's okay. Overall, really, really cool game. I recommend it, especially for the price. You can't really beat that. So this one's coming out soon. I've had a lot of fun with it, so check it out when it does. Thanks.